we all doing? Welcome to a very special episode of the selection table where we'll probably fall out because we're going to do the impossible task of picking 23 people if they were all fit and healthy. Firstly, welcome to Marky Mark, the Funky Bunch. Wasn't that the brother of Hang Tough? Who were that? New Kids on the Block. Mark Wahlberg. And Michael C. Madden, critically acclaimed author, is a member as well. Hey, do you know what I mean? We've got famous people here. Critically acclaimed. We've got Lockie Plowman's #1 fan. Christian's in chat. Chills. We've got MP63AU. Ryan, Lucky Jedi, Sutty. What noise did Sutty make? On it.
I only ever read the books, never saw the show.
Okay, well, I've lost it. As always, I'm joined by our very, very lumberjack type vibe today, Mr. Lekdog. How are you doing?
I'm well, mate. I'm excited. Week 1 of retirement, and I'm doing more content than I've ever done before, so I've kind of fucked that one up. But I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun. It's nice, Pom, to not have to have deployed all of the trade target content yet. It's really, really nice.
Hey, well, I mean, I'm putting Lekdog to work. He's retired, and I've called him out of retirement. And you may have seen this man. I was with him the other day while we were going through the transition of the room. You see, the wonderful Ian from Navy Blue Corner. Make sure as well you go to Navy Blue Corner and subscribe. They're about to encroach 700, and that is a crime from our Carlton fraternity that they've got 700. There is podcasts with way more who do half the quality. But Ian, welcome. How are you doing?
Oh, very good, Pommy. Thank you for that massive pump up intro. And yeah, I think we're trying to pump up the YouTube at the moment with the podcast, but so many still listen to it in lovely podcast form. So you can't blame them too much for that stuff. But no, it's hard to be upset at the moment being a Carlton supporter. And I was able to have you on for the pod this week in typical Blues fashion. We had to lose the game because I'm only allowed to have you on the podcast if we lose. I think that's the rule of thumb going forward. But no, the Baggers are in finals. Tickets secured. Hopefully everyone watching this was able to get the tickets because it wasn't a fun system to get through, but it is what it is, and we'll be pumped for next Friday.
Well, I felt like an idiot because I misunderstood how tickets worked, and I bought the club event ticket, which was quite expensive, and I thought I was the biggest idiot in the world. But seeing everyone struggle has justified that purchase very well.
Well, I mean, Lekdog's paid $200 for a meat roll. So,
I know.
Well done, Lekdog. That's got to be a good beef roll. Be a good beef roll, though, mate. $200. Jesus, imagine how good that beef is.
Hey, 25%, mate. $25 off. I'm a member. So it's. I think the seats are with the cheer squad as well. So I think that'll be a positive. But if we're losing, it certainly won't be.
Well, I mean, you'll get a free beer as well. They did say, well, they specified beer drink vouchers, so it might be a Coke.
The voucher's annoying. If it was one beer, like it might have been one really, really big beer. But if it's a voucher, it's just going to be a standard one, isn't it?
Mate, it'll be a shit beer as well. But if you have missed out, go and find Pommy in Oz. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. There is a post. You've got 3 rules for this, right? 1, you can't have a ticket. 2, ideally be a blue. And 3, you've got to be batshit crazy and cheer hard because you're representing the wonderful community at Pommy Oz who have donated 2, not 1, 2 level 1 tickets. They're really nice seats as well. So thank you for the community. All you've got to do is tag someone who fits that description, someone you think is the perfect 23rd person. I got told off because I said 23rd man the other day, and obviously we are inclusive here at Pommy, so make sure you do that. But why are we here today on a week off? Quite easy, right? Quite easy. We are going to pick the best 23 if everyone was fit and healthy. Usually at this stage we're telling you about some kid who's going to change the game, but instead we actually have a team. So Lekdog, start with you. And chat, let me know what is there anyone at the moment who is injured that you wished it was a good, fit and available because he was a lock start?
Oh, mate. Well, if I can't say Alex Murkov, I'll say, mate, it's Zach Williams. I think it's very easy to sort of forget what he can do. We've obviously never seen the best of him at the Blues. He's had multiple years where he's missed. In fact, one year at GWS, he only played 2 games for the year. Both were finals. He's actually our most finals experienced player on our list. He's the one. And I think, we've done well moving Doc up forward. And I think one of him or Williams was always going to move into the midfield at some point. Obviously, injuries have curtailed that for Williams, but imagine him and this is no disrespect to a Chincotta or a Boyd or one of these guys who's got a lot of games this year, but just imagine him kicking out into this dangerous midfield, going up the corridor. It excites me.
Mate, I mean, it was probably only one. Ian, have you got anything to add? The chat are helping you out.
They are definitely helping me out. Look, Zach Williams was the one I definitely would have gone to. And it hurts as well knowing, and it's hard to take too much of what the club say in preseason because everyone's hitting PBs. Everyone's the fittest they've ever looked and hitting the track well. But it did seem that Zach Williams was finally fit, ready to go. We were going to get the best Zach Williams we'd ever seen. And then doing that ACL, it hurts so much, but I think the other one I would probably look at the moment is probably Jack Silvani, which the chat are going nuts for because he's someone much maligned. We don't truly know what the best we're getting out of him, but just before he got injured, he was playing the best football he's probably ever played for us. We were playing the best football that I've seen Carlton play in a very long time, and it felt like he was the missing piece as far as that ruck extra forward dynamic that we needed. His pressure was up and about. He was kicking goals, helping that midfield out when we had a few missing too. So it's just frustrating that it's such a small sample size. We don't truly know if that's the Jack we can rely on going forward if we do end up re-signing him, but he'd be the one that right now, especially with the way Pitt's probably going, that I think we're missing quite a lot right now.
Well, I think chat, Lekdog and Ian stole them all. I mean, I think everyone's completely done Sam Philp, though. You know what I mean? Sam Philp just flirted through. Good friend of the channel, John. He's had a few beers. He's thrown in Lob. Is Lob injured or is he incompetent?
Apparently he's going to another club, so apparently he's well and truly on the market, they say, which good on him if he can find a home.
Well, I mean,
we've been strong Lob defenders over the year, Pom, but then we got better wingmen.
I've got his shirt.
Yeah.
I've got his shirt because he was the only wingman on the list since Cade Simpson had a foray in 2016. Yeah. So I had it. Question without notice. I'll start with you, Ian, and chat, throw some names. If you could bring anyone in the draft or anyone who is gettable, I'll say gettable, so don't throw in a name like Dustin Martin or someone. I suppose he's gettable if you're dimmer. Who would you bring across? If you could do this and bring anyone in, who would it be?
It's a difficult one. I think as far as trades and things like that, let's say we've got ridiculous salary cap, can get any deal done. I'm honestly not sure there's anyone really available right now that I would take because a lot of the ones maybe already off the table. Like I didn't mind the idea of a Himmelberg type, getting an extra defender in, allowing maybe a Gov to go back to a bit more of your third tall intercept. But it feels like with Brody Kemp, maybe we don't need another starting key defender. We more just need depth to that. So I'll probably, if I can get anyone, maybe Dersma in the draft. He was someone I earmarked early. It's just someone for that right there what Daniel's saying, just like a half forward, can pinch hit in the midfield. I feel like that's still a little bit of an area, just that more dynamic goal-kicking midfielder that can do a bit of both. Maybe that's what David Cunningham will be next year, but that's a position that I definitely would like us to look at some capacity.
I like that. Lecky, I know you're going to annoy someone, I can tell.
Yeah, I am. So I've been big Pitto man, obviously, over the journey, and I've been not as big TDK man, and I've kind of flipped of late. I like the versatility that TDK can give us, but I do still think that that's an area where we're lacking either a pinch-hitting ruckman who can kick goals or a ruckman that is good enough to keep TDK as the pinch hitter. So I'll give you two names. The first one, Pom, we spoke about today is Brodie Grundy, who I think you could bring in, be a very serviceable number one ruckman, pushes Pitto back to being the depth ruckman, which, given his health, is probably the way to use him and allows you to continue moving forward with TDK as the pinch hitter. Or if you think that we need another pinch hitter that can play forward, which I do, and you wanted to run with TDK as your number one ruckman, I don't mind someone like a Samson Ryan, who's not an amazing player, but he's proven that he can contest in the ruck. He can be the number one ruck when he's required to, but he also kicks goals. So I think they're two players that are very gettable as well.
Mate, it's a good shout, to be honest. Samson Ryan. It's got a biblical name.
Yes.
Lekdog, didn't we absolutely pan Samson Ryan in the draft?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, absolutely we did.
I was thinking, I know that name for some reason.
You asked me for gettable players and he could definitely service us as a, he's like a very cheap Rory Lobb, and Rory Lobb sucks, but Samson Ryan is at least young.
I'm going back through our chat, and I'm pretty sure my words were, aside from Henry Walsh, Samson Ryan is the worst ruckman I have ever seen with my two eyes. So that I hope Carlton sign him, just so I've got to find any trace of where I've said that publicly, including this show, and delete the footage. I've got some good names. We've got Zach Butters. Don't mind that.
Love.
Bailey Fritsch is my spirit animal. Is my spirit animal. I love Fritzy. Peter Wright. I don't mind that call, because a Collingwood fan, when I said Charlie was going to win the Coleman the first time, said he had a $500 bet with me that Wright would kick more goals. And since then, this guy has gone AWOL. Like AWOL. Sammy De Koning, Grundy. People are loving the Grundy. People are loving the Nate Caddy shout. There's a few. Isaac Heaney, Ratikalia. You know what? I'm going to throw a name out that we have been linked with because I froth him. The Audi Bailey Fritz. Liam Henry. I am a big fan of Liam Henry. And I reckon Liam Henry is the closest you'll get to a lock this year, because Carlton bid on him, if you remember. And Nick Austin at Doggies, also the Doggies confirmed they were going to bid on Liam Henry. So there's a double thing there. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Liam Henry. I think he's halfway between a bit of Matt Cottrell and a bit of Cunners, right? He's that happy medium, elite engine, tricky, and he's cheap. I like a bit of Liam Henry. Don't mind Harley Reid as well, but trading up to pick one, maybe.
I did see a recommended trade today, which ended up with us sending out Harry and Fisher and bringing in pick one, and I just had to close my computer and walk away. Ben Mackay, there's no one I would want less in our club than Ben Mackay.
Saw a name get floated today, potentially.
Jade Gresham, I would like less.
If you're wanting a ruck, maybe a Jack Silvani replacement, what about the big Mabior Chol that has been thrown out as Dimmers goes over there? What are you guys' thoughts on him as a potential player to bring across that seems gettable?
I'd rather make Flipper live outside in a garden than, honestly, Maribor Chol. Have you ever seen anyone as big as him play as small and kicking that literally is like trying to bounce a ball off a 50-cent piece? He's like a less likable Levi Casbolt.
The issue with him is, right, so he's had about 10 good games in his career, and they've all been against Carlton. So everyone who watches him is in this chat is convinced he's a superstar, but he is not.
Yeah, not for me either. But thought I'd throw it out there because I saw a couple on Twitter getting up and about it. But yeah, I just don't think he fits the true need, because if we're bringing in someone, I'd hope that their ruck craft is better than what he can offer. And then I just don't think his forward craft is what we're needing in that position with Harry and Charlie.
Ever since, and I've got an issue with Richmond Tolls, because do you remember when we signed Callum Moore?
Mm-hmm.
Good mate of mine was at a bar the day it was announced, and Callum Moore, this is a gospel story because he posted the aftermath on Instagram, but went, "Fuck yeah, baggers, baby," and his best mate drank a shot of tequila out of his belly button. And that was the only thing Callum Moore did at Carlton of note. My mate going, "You know that Callum Moore we just signed? He's doing shots out of his mate's belly button here, shouting baggers, baby." And since then, Richmond have been it. The good one from Bridget before we move on to the team. Fisher going to North. So he's been linked today with a 4-year deal, and we've started already. 31st of August, the AFL media saying there's a 4-year, 300k a year deal there. Mr. Zach Fisher, do you reckon Fisher's here, or do you reckon if, let's say, Liam Henry, do you send him to Freo? Do you think Fisher's staying, or do you think he's going?
I think he's going. I thought he's going for 6 months. So we put a lot of time and effort into Fish, and he has patches where he looks really good, but where does he play for us? He wants to play. So that's the thing. And it's the Dow category of players as well. It's like, if they want to play, credit to him if they want to stick around and try and earn it. But I just don't see where he gets into the team. They've put him down as a defender. We've got 2 better defenders to come back into the team in Boyd and Williams. Don't like him as a forward, and as a mid, he's just not going to make the cut. So yeah, no, I'm. It'd be disappointing to see one of the early rebuild guys go. We saw SBS go a couple of years ago, but like, that's the reality of when you're at this point that we are in a rebuild and starting to contend, is that players will start to leave for opportunity, and we will start to look at senior players, experienced players to come in and top up at times. That might not happen this year, but in the next couple of years, it's going to start. So yeah, I'm okay with it.
Are you selling Fish? Like, bearing in mind, you can say yes because Terry's not here.
I think it all depends really on what happens for the rest of this season. If he's the first guy that moves out of this team for next week against Sydney, I think you can almost say he's gone, just because he's someone that wants to play football. And if there's no role clear cut for him, then I think he would be looking to move on. But if he stays in the team, then I don't know. He feels like someone that would want to stay if there's an opportunity and there is a role for him. So I think it all comes down to whether they actually play him or not. And on top of that, that maybe says we should be looking to move a player like him, is the fact that when you do look at our draft hand to go to the draft, or whether we go to the trade table, I know we can move on our future first to try and actually get the Silvani twins the year after and get rid of that first round pick. But we don't have a second round. We don't have a third round pick in this year's draft hand. So we may be needing to move a few of those fringe-ish players to try and bring something else in to make some moves. And I don't know how many players there are for that. Is it a Silvani? Is it a Dow? Is it a Zach Fisher? I feel like 1 or 2 of those may move for the sake of being able to make other deals happen. And yeah, it'll be sad to see him go, because at his best, he's brought us some incredible match-winning goal moments, and you feel like he has something that can pull you over the line in some of those big games. Just probably haven't seen it enough.
I think one thing to consider, Pom, and this is pure speculation, right? Absolute pure speculation. But the guys that we signed sort of mid-rebuild, those guys who are floating around 100 games, I reckon, pure speculation, I reckon you'd be surprised at how much money guys like a Fisher, maybe even a Lob, although he was rookie listed, but like that tier of guys probably are. We probably had to overpay because you had to meet the salary floor. We wanted to retain players. They were seen as our future. So I reckon if Fisher goes, I think it'll come out that it's like, well, by the way, Carlton were paying him $500,000 a year. And it'll be like, oh, shit. So I think that's one to watch as well.
I genuinely think, even though I want them to stay, caveat, because I'm all about depth, I think Fisher, Dow, and O'Brien won't be at the football club next year for 2 reasons, right? One, they are 5th cabs on the ranks. So Carroll takes Dow's spot waiting for an injury in the midfield. They can draft a player with a 3rd or a 4th as a project. Fisher, they're 10 a penny, them type of players. And I think Dow and Fisher will want to play, and Carlton can probably offer them 10 games if there's an injury, but they can't guarantee them first. And I think we're in a position, I know Gav talking about the 80s and 90s, football has changed now. Players don't have loyalty. They want to play for their careers. And you can get better money playing for North and play as opposed to staying at Carlton probably on a very low retainer and never playing in your career stagnating. So I think it's in their best interest. Like Setterfield, it's in their best interest. Setterfield wouldn't have got the games he got at Essendon at Carlton, and he got injured. So it proves to be a good decision. So I think they are out the door, and I think Lobb will be replaced because next year we've got the Camparellis, so we'll have too many wingers, so they'll probably look at that, and then they'll probably look at Dow and Fisher. You can replace them in the draft quite easy. I mean, Liam Henry technically is Fisher's position because he's high half forward, so in reality, that's Fisher's position before Fisher went down half back, and Dow, he's probably a second, isn't he? Fisher and Dow, probably. We would have paid a second when we were building. So I reckon you could probably get a second or a third.
Yeah, it's probably, if they both went to the same club, you probably get a second and a swap. If they go to separate clubs, you probably end up with a second and a third. And when I just want to preface this, because I know we're going to move into the best 23, but when we're talking, and this is knowledge because we're going to talk about this a lot over the next few weeks, when we're talking about moving players on, often it's not because I don't like the player, it's because I'm pro player movement. If they've got such a short career, if Fish has an opportunity to get an extension with more money at another club, I want him to make that decision. I don't want him to stick around for the hope. As much as I love keeping our players, and we've been very good at retaining players, I'm all about them maximizing their career. So if I was his manager, I'd be like, Fish, mate, we've got to go. We've got to go somewhere else.
I think Gav nails it as well, talking about we're now a attractive club as well, that we could do what Lekdog's saying without paying the overs. So I reckon there might be players like Liam Henry, say, let's just say he's on 500k. Let's just make a figure up. He's probably willing to move to Victoria for 300, knowing Carlton are in a window and Fremantle are going backwards. So suddenly, horses for courses. And the wonderful Ugur is in chat. We've got Lana in chat as well. Mr. Ian, you're about to say something. What are we doing?
Oh, it was more just the Lob one is interesting because obviously I think we'd move him. We've got so much depth now in that wing role, and with the Camparelli twins potentially coming through next year, it makes sense to move him on. And maybe this is very harsh on O'Brien, I just can't see a club even for free taking him. He's so far down the pecking order for us. I don't really know what club needs what he is, because he'd be depth in the wing if you need it, and I don't know, I just feel like you'd rather go a young kid rather than O'Brien because the ceiling's not there on a player like him. And I just wanted to touch on Liam Henry as well, because when we bid, I don't know if this is actually true. This might just be one of those rumors on Big Footy or something like that I've stumbled upon. But that was in Sauce's last draft for us. Yeah. And I believe that was where we started just bidding on everyone. And there is word that when he bid on Henry, because Freo had just shafted his best mate, Ross Lyon, he yelled out, "That's for Ross!" on the after he made the bid. So I don't know if he actually really wanted him or whether he's just trying to stick it to Freo. But that would be an interesting one if he ended up finding his way to us.
Well, I mean, I think if you look, we know that Alistair Clarkson was heavy in the rebuild. So he was. I was reading something with our list manager that Clarkson nominated a lot of the names. He was very active for it, and that's why towards the end it got a bit sour at Hawthorn, that he was still very active and they'd brought in all these recruitment directors. One of his philosophies was bringing in players like Lobb, Fisher, Dow, guys who are a little bit older, because you look at their midfield is going to be as raw as a Badger's bum next year. Do you know what I mean? Suddenly LDU is going from learner to chief. And you look at Hawthorn, they've done miraculously well, right? Miraculously well. And I'm not surprised because Sam Mitchell's a genius. I wouldn't be surprised that they bring in a few players like on a third or a fourth just to protect it and heavily rotate. Do you know what I mean? Heavily rotate in the year. And I reckon that's O'Brien's thing. The one thing going against O'Brien is his VFL form has been nothing short of diabolical, let's be honest. It's actually some of the worst things I've seen with my eyes. And we all were doing content in 2018. So that's a big call, just so you know. But let's get into it. So chat, what we're going to do, can you see that?
Yep.
We're getting it now, yes.
Why is that
Fremantle there? Hopefully we don't have too many issues. If we do have issues, Pom, I'll send you the online doc I have and we might be able to use that. But
is that all right? Can we see that?
Yeah, that's good.
All right. So I'm guessing, chat, that fullback, there's nothing here. Do you know what I mean? We these are obvious. Our key position sides should be easy, but I'm assuming we're all in agreement with Whittaker. Like Lekdog, Ian, chat, Jacob Whittaker, set and forget.
Lockie Jack may be the only one that will say Plowman there, but yes, definitely Whitters for me.
You know what?
We may even be able to do a reserves version of this if we have enough time because we've got the depth now. But yeah, anyway, Whittaker.
Someone asked as well, in honor of Lockie Jack and Why Do I Like, this is Plowman the Penguin. So you want me to name him?
That's forever, baby.
Plowman the Penguin is going to be ours. That'll just hopefully stop you asking for him every week. Right, chat. Centre half back.
So, Pom, is this, if everyone's available for the Sydney game, who are we playing? Or is that whoever's available, if everyone's available, round one next year? What are we thinking? Because
this is Magic Wand, your best 23 at Carlton.
Best 23 players. Well, best 23.
Everyone 100%. Everyone triple vaccinated or whatever. Everyone passed a fitness test. Everyone's got new hamstrings, new knees, new elbows, new everything. Like these guys are 200% fit. Russell's got them humming.
Yep. Cool.
Okay, so centre half back, Lekdog. Who are we thinking? We've got Marchbank coming in. Chat, throw your centre half backs.
I think it has to be Gov. I think that anything but Gov is madness.
Ian?
I agree. I think it's Gov. I like the way this backline is functioning with the three tools being Weeders the main, Gov, and then Kempy. So I feel like that's the way to go. And him being high up the ground just allows that transition work that we do so well now.
And even if Marchbank, let's wave the wand and Marchbank's fully healthy, his knees don't work anymore. Like, unless we're retroactively repairing him before his 5 reconstructions or whatever. I think people still think the upside of Marchbank's there, whereas I think he kind of is what he is.
Well, I mean, that looks pretty strong. If we just leave it there, fuck, done. Happy days. Right, yeah. This is where it gets challenging, right? We're going to go back pocket, right or left, depending on where it is, but back pocket right, we'll call it. So I would say your options here, chat, while you're thinking, Williams, Sard, Plowman. I've done that just for Lekdog's benefit. Nick Newman, they've played in the pocket back in the day. Do we go the third here? Marchbank, Kempy. We could bring Hewitt down there just for Vance. Fisher, Sam Durden, is it the third? Or are we going the traditionals? You know, your boys.
Lewis Young, him and Wiedering always love playing together. I mean, for me, it's one of Kemp or Williams. But I'm not the decider. But yeah, I think I like Kemp there.
I'm having good
Kemp. By the way, they threw Kemp forward on the weekend, and I love that man, but I hated that.
It was shades of Chuck and Wiedering forward years ago. It was just, oh no, don't want to see that.
Now,
I'm really upset they went with Marchbank as the sub, by the way, the week after I had Lewis Young as sub in my team selection.
What do you guys think? And chat, what do you think? Zach Williams has got to be in this team, right? Has to be. Now, are you playing him? Because I'm going back through the preseason. Everyone I spoke to at the club, all the media talk was Williams was flying. This was a new Williams, right? New Williams. And the big thing that was told to me was his ability to cut traffic by foot was exceptional. Now, looking at Nick Newman playing higher up the ground, Sard obviously plays higher up the ground, and Dux move forward. You know what? I would usually say half-back flank. I have got a sneaky feeling that he's playing where Chincotta and Boyd have played, and they're going to play him deeper in the ground to kick through traffic and get it ahead to Newman and Sard, which I've seen Boyd has done quite successfully when he's been in there. Is that what we're thinking, chat, or do we think they'll just go half-back and they'll slot Newman back into his old back pocket position?
It's a good question, because Newman we've seen go back into that back pocket and be a really solid lockdown defender, but I think it's hard to dispute the form that he showed this year. I also like the idea of having a really solid kick to get out of defense, because we look better. I know Gov takes a lot of kick-ins, but we look a lot better when it's Sard running out of the kick-in and gaining territory. But we also know he can defend really well. I guess the question is, when you chuck Newman, let's say Williams' back pocket, Newman and Sardia on the half back, is there enough defenders there? What do you guys think? I've got a thought, but I want to hear from you.
It's tough. Like, that was my first thought, was just if he's a bit deeper, Newman's a better defender one-on-one. So my thought was you probably just maybe throw Newman back there. Plus, Williams obviously has a bit more leg speed. When we got him, we wanted him to be a midfielder. Obviously, he's not going to be that, but someone that can burst through. I know even from deep, Chincotta's been able to still do that. I feel like the simple option is Newman back, and then Williams goes back to what we know. But I mean, I like the idea of changing things up, trying something different. We've now got versatility almost in every single position, and to have a backline that's that fluid, where if all of a sudden it isn't working and we need Williams to go deeper to be able to use his foot skills to get us out of trouble, that's such a good thing to have. So I think I'm probably going to be very basic and say Newman goes deep, just because of his ability to shut down. And we saw it this year, against Adelaide and what he's able to do. So I'll be simple, but I'm keen to hear your guys' more in-depth chat on that one.
Well, the chat have agreed Kemp goes there, so we've come on to that back pocket position. I think you're right. Newman's a better defender, right?
Yeah.
But I agree with Gav. My issue is he's been so good at halfback, it's allowed Doherty to play on the ball, which I think when people ask GWS what was more alarming to me, it wasn't the contested possessions. It was the lack of Doc. I felt Doc was more missed by my eye with little things and little link-ups that Doc does than Cripps. I thought they were both big losses. I just find it hard if Newman's there. I think you've got a bit more time there so you can really cut through traffic back pocket. Do you know what I mean? So I've got a feeling that he might be back pocket, but it's tough, isn't it? Because, like, Boyd, people always talk about Boyd, but his defending isn't as good as Chincotta's one-on-one, right? It's his kicking.
Yeah, Chincotta had like 6 touches against GWS, and I remember walking away from the game going, geez, I thought he was good. And then I looked at the stats, I was like, he only had 6 touches. But I feel like, again, his defense is better, but he doesn't really get a hold of the ball. But I think no matter what, on the bench, we're probably going to have another defensive rotation. So I'm happy going Williams back pocket and then the other 2 half back. These guys are all in their prime as well. Nick Newman's 30 this year. Doherty's 29. I know we're moving up the ground. Sard's 29. Williams is 20. Will be 29. Like this is peak. This is the moment to go back to back next year with these very healthy boys. So yeah, I think Williams and Sardi off halfback would be my vote.
I think Newman will get the job though, because chat wanted Newman. You two stuck on Newman. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. I just
we can rotate in the game anyway.
So are we all agreed here? This is Sard.
Yes.
Chat. Are we happy with Sard? It has to be. Has to be. So this side, this is tough now because is it Chincotta, Cowan? We haven't mentioned. Do they go with that option? Is it as straightforward as Zach Williams playing the position at GWS? And you look at the way we're playing, you would say Zach Williams is a walk-up start.
Cowan's someone I'm excited to see what he can do. Still not best 22, 23 for me. Yeah. He definitely needs to keep working on his craft in the VFL, but what I saw from underage and even just glimpses has been incredible. And there's definitely a spot for him in this lineup eventually. I just don't think he's there yet. So for me, it's Zach Williams. I just think that earlier in the year when we were struggling, we were missing what I think Zach Williams was. And maybe that was another point of why we struggled with transitioning the ball from D50. If preseason, there was like number one thing, get the ball to Zach Williams, use him to transition the ball out. If that was what we're working on, all of a sudden he goes down, you need to change things up. Maybe there was a bit of disjointedness and we were struggling to work out how to replace him in the squad and how else tactically we can work around that. So he's definitely in the best 22. He's definitely starting for me. And yeah, I'm just excited to see what he can do now that we're the best football team in the comp. It's a cherry on top.
Best 23 is a different discussion to like balancing development and winning now. Best 23 is the grand finals tomorrow. Everyone's healthy. What's the team?
Yeah. I'm glad you've mentioned Cowan as well, because I actually think Cowan, this is a Pom's big call. I reckon by round one, you'll see Cowan and Chincotta be that first choice for the 7th.
I'm big on Cowan.
I love Boyd as much as the next, but I think Cowan is superior defensively and will be because he's bigger and stronger, more superior in the air, and his kick is something I have never seen. Like his kick is scary good. So,
and the height to intercept a little bit as well is something that we haven't seen at AFL level, but he's got it in his kit bag. So it's going to be interesting to see how we end up using him once he starts developing, because he can kind of play a multitude of roles, which is exciting to have if you need to eventually replace a Newman in a few years, or is it a Zach Williams type? Like he can kind of go all over the place.
It'll be interesting to see as well, because they've been playing him 100% on the smaller guys in the VFL. So you can see that they're really working that role. Dare I say it, Plowman.
Yeah,
but,
no, I was literally thinking the same thing.
But with points of difference. Like telling you, if you watched him at juniors, how he wasn't a top 15 pick, it is ridiculous. And thank God he's Tasmanian. Thank God
he might end up having a career similar to, and you guys might not like this, but similar to Trent McKenzie in that kind of that middle size, has a really lethal kick, but later on in his career when he's gotten a lot bigger, he might end up being that sort of undersized, tall defender. So I think his versatility is great. I'm all in on Cowan. I don't think he's in our best 23.
Acres.
Oh,
I'm guessing.
Chewy. Have a look at the donation, Dan.
Oh, UK. An $80 donation. Lekdog, over to you.
So good.
As a man that is covered in Star Wars tattoos, that's my favourite. Thank you very much, UK. Your generosity is always much appreciated. Everyone, let's get UK's a legend in chat. We've got Plowman.
Absolute king.
Lekdog, because of you, Plowman's been mentioned way too much, and you've caused it. Chat. And Ian and Lekdog, Akers and Hollands, right? Can I just say, right? I copped so much shit round one about Ollie Hollands and saying he was a walk-up start for this football side. And all year I've had abuse saying, oh, Bryon should be there. It should be Cottrell's job. Even saw Nick Negropontis today fucking dropping, right? And those people who are paid by the AFL, who evidently have played lots more games than me and are considered icons of the sport, named him the third best fucking player of his age group, right? So I am telling you now, I don't often put my foot down, but Ollie Hollins is in this best fucking 22.
Yep.
Yeah. He's in mine. He'd definitely be in mine. He was someone that I think at the start of the year, there was a lot of high hopes for going off what we saw at under 18 level. But it's always that tricky part of a guy his size worrying, he's really skinny. He's a little bit smaller. What's he going to be like at AFL level? And anyone that saw the preseason, saw some open trainings, I'm sure they were like me and immediately went, no, this guy's 100% ready to go. He was winning the ball more than any of the bloody midfielders. He was all over the place. His ability to track back and forth and still impact is massive. There's one thing just being in the right spot, but then being able to go back with the fly to the ball and put your body in danger and get the spoil or make the big tackle. He's something special, even for just his age. And yeah, he's 100% locked down to that wing for me. Him and Akers, I like what they're doing. And it's going to be interesting to see what maybe, like we've talked about, Cow and what they do and evolve over time. Because we've obviously seen Hollins be a bit more of that defensive side, but we know he is so good offensively, whether at some stage it kind of flips between the two wingers. But both of those, it's so good to have actual wingers for once. It's great.
Me and Lekdog have done a lot of shows together over the 2 years, and we keep, and I'm sure Lekdog will attest. We used to love wingers, and people used to be like, "Oh, just fucking play Setterfield and on-baller on the wing," or "Why can't Cripps play on the wing?" And we were really
Paddy Dowd of the wing was a big one.
Yeah, Lekdog, we were really strong, weren't we? You need fucking wingers, right? Yep. And you see the difference, don't you? Akers and Hollins, hard working, up and down. It allows players like Walsh and Chera and Cottrell to pinch hit there and showcase their wares. It's hugely needed, isn't it?
Absolutely, mate. And we've got Jackson Binns in the wings. If a guy like Henry becomes available from Freo to us, he's played wing. There's a lot you can do there, but having Blake and Ollie Hollins in this team, and it was a massive issue that we needed to address last year, which they did a really good job of. You can see how much it's improved us. Blake Acres, yes, he kicks one out on the full every week, but guess what? I don't really give a shit because he goes back and takes contested marks, and Ollie Hollins is just hard at it.
It's actually a good thing because I told the live chat last week, if Blake Acres has a kick out of bounds in the first 5 minutes, statistically, he goes mid to high 80% by foot after that. So it's actually a good thing. Like, you want him to splice, and he's going to be all right. Lekdog, everyone wants to know what you're drinking, and Ryan and Mel leads me on to my next point. I can't wait for this time next year, Lekdog, for us to do a review. Mate. No, but us to do a review and go, got too many fucking wingers.
We're going to have to trade Blake Acres. Yeah.
Go to your 17th club, mate.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I can't wait. Ian and Pom and Lekdog sat on this show going, just fucking with all the wingers. Get rid of him. Get rid of him.
I think we're all happy with those wings.
Yeah. Cripps, I'm guessing he's centre line.
Has to be, doesn't he?
Okay, well, we'll do the easy one. I'm sure we are all in agreement. Charlie and Harry.
Yep. I'd probably switch them around, but either way, it doesn't matter.
They are.
Which Harry?
Harry Lemmy, obviously.
God,
right.
I wish.
This is the hard one, right? This is the hard one, right? Half forwards. First choice half forwards. So, Lekdog, I'll start with you. Chat, throw in some half forward names.
It's tough, isn't it?
Who is it?
Well, I think the ruck unlocks this question, Pom. I actually think that's the thing that unlocks it all. Because if we're saying our best 23 has Pito on the ruck, then TDK plays half forward. If we're saying TDK's a one ruck TDK is the best setup, well, then it becomes like a J Sauce or a Jack Martin or something like that. So I would say Jack Martin is my first pick, but I think we do need to consider the ruck when answering this conversation.
Fuck the ruck. Ian, half forwards.
I have Silvani there for me because right now, I know we talked about it, small sample size from what Silvani was able to do, but I think that's the best our rucks looked all year. De Koning being the number one, his development over this season has been a massive step up. I wasn't sure he had it in him, whereas now I can see him be a number one ruck going forward. Pito, I just haven't seen enough, and I'm always for versatility. I like guys being able to do different roles, and so their only knock on Pito is ruck or is sort of on the bench, and is what he's doing in the ruck enough? I'm not sure. So for me, I've got Silvani on the half forward because I just think he can do a bit of everything. And when he was being that second ruck for the small sample size, before he got injured, it was career best form. It was electric. He was kicking 4 goals. He was being able to help Charlie as another target down there. I just think it's kind of the play at the moment because we saw a bit of Harry on the weekend in the ruck. Wasn't great. So, yeah, if Pito's not in my team, I've gone Silvani as that backup.
It's interesting.
Gentlemen, I'll be back in 1 second. World War IV is breaking out of my house. I'll be back in 1 second.
Sweet as. Josh, it's interesting because with Hawthorn, the big question mark was, could he become versatile enough around the ground? Now, there is a lot of reports. You can Google them. Clarko frothed Peternet. But the problem was, could he do enough around the ground? Could he do enough around the ground? And maybe Carlton have taken that chance. It's going to be interesting, but I'm with Chat on this. I think Jack Martin is a walk-up start. And Chat and Ian, while Lekdog's sorting out World War III with his dogs, I actually think Jack Silvani is the half forward.
Yeah. Oh, look, Jack Martin's definitely in my team. I actually ended up, everyone's still in this team anyway, but he ended up being forward pocket for me with how I was moving some things around there, but he's definitely in the team. Plug him in. But yeah, Silvani's such a tough one. And Pito, there's still hope. For me, a lot of what I'm not seeing at the moment, I feel like it's injury because he was getting injections into his back till about halfway through this year still, just to get through games. And I don't know what that's been like since. He's clearly had some issues with his knees. Maybe we're literally just seeing a guy that is struggling to move at the moment because I think I saw it in the chat before. First half of the year last year was really, really impressive. And he allows with his blocks and physicality to allow our midfield to not have to do as much of the dirty work, give them a clear run at the ball to break for clearances. I still think there's a position for him, but he needs to get 100%. And he needs to start dominating the ruck a little bit more. I think for me, just the development of De Koning over this year has kind of gone. I never really truly loved De Koning as that extra tall in the forward line, but I'm enjoying what he's doing in the ruck now. He's moved over Peternet in my ruck sort of rankings as far as the depth chart, and I want versatility for that second ruck. So unfortunately, Pito misses out, and Silvani ticks all the boxes.
Because if I was a betting man and Chat, Ian and Lekdog, now you're back, I would say, because Ryan and Mel's right, I think it's slow. Voss loves playing Motlop high half forward. I reckon it would look like that. Motlop would be high half forward, and Jack Silvani, obviously, if we're playing him and TDK, would start on the bench.
Yeah, I tend to have TDK either deeper or on the bench when I'm playing this game at home.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, Scott saying forward pocket like you, I could see that. Also, Cunners there. So this one here, are we going to start? Remember, this is going to be our named. Are we going to go Motlop, Cunningham, or JSOS, half forward? Lekdog.
I think I want... Oh, that's a good question.
That's why I'm the host of the show, Lekdog.
Yeah, it's great. I'm keeping track here as well. It looks good either way. I want Cunningham on field. I think he's in our best team.
I think he's in our best team too. Ian?
I know he's had a couple of down weeks, but
I had written down before we started this, it was Silvani and Cunningham on my half forward line, just because of I'm also trying to predict a little bit if we're eyeing this off as a round one team. You've got another preseason into Cunners off the back of this season. And I just feel like there's a chance he can keep improving off the back of that. And he's so good at picking up the ball better than anyone else. Everyone else is fumbly. He just grabs it. It doesn't matter. And when you need someone to deliver a nice quick hand pass out of the pack in congestion, he does it well. And I like his ability to link up the midfield and the forward line, hoping to maybe see a few more running goals by the end of the season. But yeah, I really do like David Cunningham. He's got that little bit of silk that I think we miss.
And that is a quote from 2020. He is the sexiest footballer. Do you know what I mean? The Viagra on the oval. You can quote me on that one. Forward pockets then. So obviously, I think we're, for some reason, and just going back with Lekdog, me and Lekdog discussed this 2 years ago in trade period. We kept saying we don't have a small forward since Matty Wright. Suddenly now we've got some fucking small forwards. Like, there's a few names of people who are actually small forwards as well, not guys that we've just like kneecapped them in the off season and they're now small forwards. Like, I think this is as easy, in my opinion, as Motlop and then Owies. But watch this space for Durden. I reckon Durden's going to have a massive pre-season because I reckon he's probably got the point of difference. But what do you think? Is it as simple as Owies and Motlop?
I think so. I did the maths. I can't remember the exact maths off the top of my head. I'm trying to find it. But this is the first time we've had four forwards kick 20 plus goals in about 15 years. So, and Motlop and Owies are a big part of that. So they have to be in this team.
Motlop and Owies, Ian?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I just think they all offer something different in this forward line when you look at it. You know, Motlop is that just little bit of magic out of nothing when you need a goal. Owies is just pressure and marking target. Martin, he does literally every single thing you could want a guy to do. And then Cunningham's that little bit of class, moving higher up the ground, pushing forward towards goal. The interesting thing will be, I think, where a Fogarty ends up in this, because he did look good when we brought him straight back in with his pressure. I just think others add something else more going forward, which is why he probably doesn't make the team for me. And then Durden, yeah, there's obviously still development to go from him. You haven't seen a lot this year, which makes it tough. I think being able to be exposed to Motlop and with others getting back in form, it does make it, he's sort of behind the eight ball a little bit, but there's still room for Durden to break into this team for sure, but he's just going to have to show a bit more. I think everyone so far locked into this team has shown enough throughout at least this full year that they're best 22.
I think
Liam Henry to add. Oh,
yeah, exactly.
True.
I'm just projecting ahead and not including the sub. We've got 5 spots left and I've got 4 locks already. So I'm really excited to see what we end up with the team, because I reckon we've got 1 spot and about 6 blokes who are fighting for it. But anyway, let's progress.
I'm assuming we're on followers. I'm assuming because we've all brought JSOS onto the bench, TDK is our ruckman. There's no one out there who's putting Pitternet there. But followers, is the followers as which combination are we going? Are we going Doherty, Walsh, Chera, Hewitt? What is our preferred starting followers? Like, I know
they're the 4 names.
Love the Doc George combo.
I think if I was picking the team, I would start Chera and Walsh there, because I just think that they can bring some energy really early in the game. But those 4 names you just mentioned are all 4 players that I think need to be in this team, which is why it makes it so tough for that last spot. But for me, I think Chera has to be here. I don't know which position. I don't really care. He has to be at that starting bounce.
Which combination?
I'm the exact same
Walsh
as Lekdog. I feel like I'm just piggybacking everything the great man's saying tonight, because, yeah, I want my best players on field, and Hewitt, definitely I think he's in that mix, but Cripps, Chera, and Walsh is just electric. That's what you want to see in there. And unpopular opinion, I didn't touch on it a lot when talking about the wings. I obviously definitely had Hollins in my team, but I love a starting Doc at a centre bounce to kick off the game, and he's run straight in to almost be that extra midfielder that we saw. Particularly, I just remember so much in that first Gold Coast game this season that sort of turned our season around. Him just cutting off that square, being able to run through and deliver the ball inside 50. I like that, and he's probably a bit more of my rotate him everywhere, which maybe that's why he potentially suits the bench a little bit better. He's definitely in the team. I don't think that whether you're a bench or starting on field matters too much for me, but he can play some wing. He can play in the guts. If you need him halfback, he can do that as well. But yeah, I would definitely be having Doc in there too.
It's interesting with this team as well. There is so much rotation, right? There is so much rotation because you've seen Hollands be afforded some stoppage clearance work, which for those who covered the draft profiles, we talked he's an inside midfielder as well. It's something that they pinch it a lot. And he said it himself. That's where he prefers to play. He likes that 20-minute spurt in a full game. But then you got Doc, like Ian's just perfectly mentioned. He can float on the wing, on the ball. Then if you add Liam Henry, it makes it really interesting because wing, forward. So you could actually see, I could see a world if Henry signs, Owens isn't there. Henry's where Owens is. Owens is maybe on the bench, and suddenly you've got Williams can pinch hit on the ball because I don't reckon that experiment's ended. I reckon you'll see him at stoppage clearances. I think that'll be huge, and I think you've literally seen the end of Matt Kennedy. And the reason I'll say why, you've seen what happens when they're too slow. Voss is telling you everything's quick, and there isn't a huge gap in speed between Kennedy and Cripps, and people compliment Cripps being too slow. Cripps is twice as strong. So I think you actually see now it's going to be a massive rotation. Chera,
Josh,
Walsh, wing.
Josh Hollands is playing because he's really fucking good. It's not scientific.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm just listing out. I'm just projecting ahead for like what I think will be the final spot in the team. I've written down 8 names that I think could all be the final spot in the team. I know we're not there yet, but like that's where the list is currently at.
Well, I'd imagine we all agree because we mentioned Doc's there.
Has to be.
And Hewitt, because they were the names we were debating for on the ball. So that means we've got one spot left, which I think makes it incredibly exciting. Which way do we go? And that's why I was talking about the rotations, because with them rotations, suddenly this spot here, you can make an argument for 8 players, like Lekdog said, who could come in purely as one role. One role.
Well, let's talk it out, because if we break it down to Sauce is forward and ruck, that's probably covered for that slot. Hewitt is that inside mid. When he comes in, you can push a Walsh or a Cherimo out. So I think he's that core midfield. Are we viewing Doc, and I know we sort of just discussed this, are we viewing Doc as a defensive rotation, as a pure mid rotation, as a wing mid rotation? I think in a couple of years, because he will be getting on in age, we'll start to see him to return to the defensive lineup a bit more. But if everyone's fit, is he the defensive rotation? And guys like Chincotta and Boyd and Cowan are it's just like, well, Sam Doherty's ahead of you.
It's tough. This is
really tough. Like, I've got my short list for this last position, and not all of these will make sense, but Chink, Boyd, Cottrell, Kennedy, Dow, Cowan, Durden, they're all AFL level players. And I'm sure I'm missing some. Like, I don't have Fisher in there. We don't have Marchbank in there. Like, there's a bunch of players on this list who probably should be getting a game.
I'm glad MightyArd's in here as well. Thank God for you, MightyArd. All the top teams in the league have specialist wingers. None of them inside midfielders that pinch it. Do you know what I mean? Every team in the top 8 has an 80% winger. Ian, what are your thoughts on this? Because, Cottrell, I think Cottrell is probably the perfect player here. Because half forward, wing rotation, And if he goes the wing rotation, we've seen Voss lobs the Akers to half back, which suddenly you've got Doc and Akers, who could be the 7th defender, straight away. Do you know what I mean? In that, and then you've got Cottrell who can play across the forward line. Or is it a Fogarty? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I have maybe
Fogarty's the other
gone
one. Jeez.
against what everyone else is potentially thinking, because I see Doc as your mid wing. I don't see him being the defense at the moment in my team, because I've liked what I've seen this year is that little bit of a point of difference that can do other things. And if Silvani's more that forward ruck rotation, and then we've seen guys like a Walsh be able to play that high half forward as well, I feel like there's enough versatility to rotate guys through there. So for me, I'm needing a defender rotator, and I have Chincotta is who I have to be my last player in this team. I am looking at the defense, and there's a lot of good players there, but I like what Chincotta offers in he's more defensive, but he can also do some attacking. And I'm just not sure we have that. Just do all the hard things and let all the other guys play. Let him be the defensive part that allows Kemp to roll off and take the intercept, allow Newman to push up the ground, allow Williams and Saad to just run off. He can be the guy whose number one role is to be the smaller defender and let everyone else flare and be their best. That's kind of where I was looking at it, because if you throw Doc back there, he's probably going to have to spend more time than others, and I'm just not sure where the other rotations end up being. So I just liked the idea of a solid defender that can just go in there and get the better out of everyone else. But it's so stiff on a Fogarty in the forward line. And a Cottrell would be the other one. It'd literally be, for me, Cottrell or, Chincotta, but I'm going Poms, man.
I just want to respond to Josh, because I like the discussion. He says Hollands is good, but in a normal game, he hasn't played finals. I'm going to give you the entire list of Carlton players who have played finals. Blake Acres, 2. Ed Curnow, 2. George Hewitt, 8. Mitch McGovern, 3. Nick Newman, 3. Adam Sard, 1. Zach Williams, 11. Lewis Young, 3. That is it. 8 players of our 44-ish, 46, whatever it is, have played finals. So I don't buy into that as an argument against Hollands. But I like the discussion. My thing about Chincotta, because I don't know. Pommy's gone.
We've lost a Pommy. Oh, we'll step up. We'll take over. You were saying, Lekdog?
Lockie Jack. Young played for the Bulldogs. Williams played for GWS. Williams one season, only played 2 games, and they were both finals. Chincotta, I agree. We probably need another defensive rotation here.
Hey, sorry, lads.
He's back. I just don't know. I like Chincotta a lot. I don't know how. In my head, by the way, I'm playing Cottrell as the sub, which I know you and I are going to agree on, probably. But I understand everything you're saying. I think you're right about needing a defensive rotation. But why Chink ahead of Boyd or ahead of even Cowan? I don't know. I agree with some of the comments. Yes, he's good defensively, but he doesn't really go the other way. Do you need him to go the other way? I really don't know.
Yeah, that was kind of my thinking. I was looking probably him and Boyd, with Cowan to eventually probably just, take that role, because that's where I see him eventually being with his ceiling. Boyd, it was he's the foot skills. He is able to get us out of trouble by foot. And looking at everyone else we have in defense, I was like, Newman can do that. Zach Williams can do that. Sard can do that. Everyone else seems to be a bit more attacking. So I wanted that defensive side of a Chincotta compared to the two. Whereas I guess Cowan, eventually, I see him being able to be ridiculously defensive, tall enough that he can intercept, also has a better foot than all of them combined, and can run. So that kind of is the mold that eventually takes the spot over. Because I just thought with Boyd, now if he's currently playing that Zach Williams role in the team currently, when Zach Williams comes back in, that's his spot. That's the Fisher role right now. And I liked the balance really with Chincotta. But Me as well. I had Cottrell as my sub, and also thinking that if it isn't working, if Cincotta isn't working with it, you can always throw Doc back and then bring on Cottrell, and he can be that rotation wing half forward that you do need. There's plenty of versatility, which I do like. Maybe that's the issue with a Cincotta in there. I've spoken about versatility this whole episode, and he isn't super versatile.
Not everyone needs to be.
I guess it's just I think that he allows others to be better, whereas a Boyd maybe doesn't allow everyone else to play their game as much because he's also wanting to be the distributor, being the one to take things on. But it's such a tough decision. There's so many players that are going to miss out that are so unlucky.
So would we agree then? I feel like we've gone to Cottrell here. I feel like we've agreed our best 22 has Cottrell because he allows to play 3 positions, which gives us that option. Is that where we've fallen on? Ian, do you feel that way? I know you want a defensive player. Do you feel that's what this is screaming out for? And chat, is Cottrell your last player?
I don't think he's mine.
Yeah.
I think
Lekdog, who is it?
Oh fuck, I don't know who it is, but I don't think it's him. I'm actually trying to but for me, it's been between Cincotta and Fogarty. That's the discussion I'm having. Do I want an extra defender, like an extra defensive defender, and keep Doherty as a pure mid rotation? And we know Akers has dropped behind the ball as well and been that defensive wing. Or do I want Fogarty in to be that attacking pressure forward? Do we need him with Jack Martin, Cunningham, always in the team? I think you might have swung me. I think you might have won me around with Cincotta. I think you might have won me around Ian with Cincotta.
Yeah, I was probably similar to you as well, just thinking like we've spoken about it at depth, how much we love a Cottrell as a sub with what he's able to do and trying to look at that specialized Fog as the sub. I don't love, like there isn't any other players I'm really loving as the actual sub. So that's why he probably just misses out. And yeah, it'd be between Fogarty and Cincotta, but I like the defensive rotation a little bit more.
It's tough, mate. It's tough. And it's like, we're not even considering Fisher or Dow or Burden or, Matty Kennedy. And if Matty Kennedy had worked as a defender when they tried that, he'd be in, but it didn't.
Kennedy's tough. I think that he offers something in the midfield, which no one else does. He's got that strength to be able to take that mark when we just need to ping it into the corridor when you're maybe outnumbered to take the game on, and we can trust you to hold your ground and take the grab. I'm not sure any of our other midfielders have that, but Hewitt probably in and under is a better version of Matt Kennedy. So Kennedy's probably just that one that misses out. But we've seen this year, you're going to get injuries. Someone's probably not going to be fit, and he's that next one to come in, which you definitely are going to need. Not saying his best
ball is heating up, by the way.
Not saying his best 22 now, but I'd love to get a bit of a discussion about Jackson Binns and where you potentially see him fitting in next year. His form was so great in the twos this year. You'd assume he'll get some games next year with Akers and Hollands pretty much locking down those wings basically full time, and Cottrell being that guy that is sort of floated wing half forward. Is Binns going to take over that role? Where do you kind of see what Binns can offer in 2024?
Well, we actually discussed this today, Pom.
We did, yeah. I think he's looking at Cottrell's position. So I know we love Cottrell. I think it's because of his versatility. I think Cottrell will be looking at over his shoulder for Binns, especially with his forward craft. Binns is growing. And then he'll probably be looking at Akers' job when in the next couple of years as well. So
Akers is
it's gonna be a tough
28,
one.
Stephen. 20 votes. Cincotta has 45% of the vote.
So Cincotta is that. And who was second, Lekdog?
Fogarty and Cotters are tied 29% each. So that doesn't help us either. The next vote will probably decide Cotters or Fogarty.
Tell you what, my real estate convincing is finally paid off.
Like literally, the votes keep coming in. One for Fog, one for Cotters at the same time. They're both on 30%. Fogarty 33, Cotters 29. It's staying steady. It's staying steady. Fogarty's 1 vote ahead. Pom Cotter is the final on field, though.
Well, we've got depth, chat. I mean, that was really fun. That, I mean, I like that team. So for those watching at home, this is the team we've agreed on. We've got Whittaker, Kent, Newman, Sard, McGovern, Williams, Akers, Cripps, Hollands, Martin, Mackay, Cunningham, Motlop, Kerno, Owens, TDK, Chera, Walsh, Silvani, Doherty, Hewitt, Chincotta, with presumably Cottrell to return on the bench as the sub, I'd imagine, if this was Voss doing it. I think he's the perfect super sub. But insane that when we did this last year, we would have had 13 players.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? 13 players, and we would have just literally dart thrown 5 players.
Well, these are the guys. These are guys that have missed out. Boyd, Matt Kennedy, Paddy Dow, Lockie Cowan, Corey Durden, Lockie Fogarty, Zach Fisher, Caleb Marchbank. There's some names in there, man.
Well, I mean, that was a load of fun, chat. That was a lot of fun. And Ian, Lekdog, where can we find you this week? What are you up to?
I think this is it for me. I think this is it for me this week. I think I'm just having a bit of a rest, so I'm happy. I'll be on. It might not be this week, but we're going to be recording it. The podcast is called. Bear with me. It's called Love Letters, but I don't know what the actual @ is. Yeah, so if you Google the podcast Love Letters, it's on the Story Mode podcast feed. Basically, they do one-on-one interviews about something that you love that has helped, in a difficult time in your life, or helped start your career, or helped make you as a person. So, it might be Star Wars for me. It might be Doctor Who for you, Pom. Like, you just, for an hour, you just sit down and you talk about something that you love that people might not necessarily know about. So
scares me that you know that I like Doctor Who, Lekdog. It just shows you how much Lekdog listens to me. I mean, look, I'm with you, Lockie Jack. I actually thought he was going on some kind of like fucking Tinder show, and he got all deep and emotional on me. No. Fucking hell, Lekdog. That sounds amazing, mate. Make sure you share it. Lekdog did forget. Me and Lekdog are starting a podcast on this very show, which will be debuting soon, where we're going to be covering the free agents and drafts from last year and bullying people who have got it wrong. And this will be a continual thing throughout the year, where me and Lekdog basically just pick on teams fucking it up and laughing, basically.
And the AFL.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And the AFL, and laughing. That will be debuting on Tuesday nights. Ian, talk to me. Where are you going to be this week?
Oh, it's insane to think we've actually got finals to talk about for once. I know you guys are getting involved in all the trade, free agency and draft talk, but that's normally what my run sheets are becoming at this time of year. I'm having to get the best 22 out and try to think, where are the holes? So much is going wrong. How the hell do we fix this? And Lockie and myself at the Navy Blue Corner are trying to put it all together with an end of season review, but we've got more games to cover. We've got a grand final to win. So at the moment, Navy Blue Corner still going, still covering this great season. And Lockie, as of this morning, finally back in the country. So I will have the great man joining me from here on out, unless anything happens, unless he's had enough and he goes back to Europe. Who knows? But no, back. So Navy Blue Corner for a lovely Carlton pod on YouTube, as Pommy said at the start of this episode. We're trying to get as close as we can to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We're about to hit 700. So if you enjoy my chit-chat on here, trying to convince you how to get Chincotta in the team, head over, chuck it a subscribe, and keep up to date with it, because like these two, we'll be chatting free agency, we'll be talking trade when the season concludes, and we'll be just adding on to this premiership list, which will be a lot of fun.
Breaking news, boys, just before we end. The 2023 Smithies VFL Team of the Year squad has been released, and Jackson Binns is in it. So I think he'll make the. I think he'll end up making the team.
Well, chat, if you're out there, he's 15 away, right? So I'll put the link in Navy Blue Corner. There's over 100 of you watching right at the moment. Get on there and click subscribe. Give Lockie and Ian it, And I will let you unsubscribe if in the unlikely event Carlton lose against Sydney, because then it's Lockie's problem.
Mate, well, that's what I'm saying. Literally, mate, make a burner account and follow it with that. You don't even have to watch. I'm not even asking you to watch. Just bump the numbers up. We'll get a whole studio of people on their laptops just subscribing and getting those fake numbers going. Why not? Who cares? Get the numbers ticking.
Well, chat, we'll be back with a video tomorrow. I've got an AFLW preview video coming, and I've got another little hype video coming, because you know what I'm like. I'm into the finals. Me and Lekdog will be back next week with that show as well. So stay tuned. The normal boys will be back on this show as well for, obviously, the teams for the final, which we're so excited about. And also me and Faz will be back tomorrow to talk round ball. So if you are here, make sure you do it. Just a quick update for Ian. Checking your Navy Blue corner. You are up to 692. We need 8 more. So
an absolute king.
Right,
Thanks everyone in the chat. You're legends.
Pom has done all he can. Right, you already can. But chat, have so much fun. We love you. Look after yourself. Make sure you like and subscribe this if you're not already. I checked the stats the other day, and on that video that was like over 2,000 people, only 42% had subscribed. Like, come on, chat. Help a brother out. Much love, everyone. Look after yourselves. Go Blues. Peace.
Up the baggers.